before Matter, most of my recovery stuff was, sleep and nutrition, and then contrast, like hot and cold stuff. It's just what I've always done. And I didn't realize that, or maybe I didn't have access to other recovery modalities. Some days now, because I'm a little bit more in tune with the recovery stimulus that my body actually wants, I show up and I don't really want to get in the cold plunge. And in the past, I'd be like, well, like you need some recovery, just go do the thing. And while that attitude can be important, now I can get into the red light therapy bed and do a 25-minute thing and get a recovery stimulus and leave feeling really relaxed and not send my nervous system into overdrive on a day where I already know, like doing the contrast would just be a little bit too intense right now.
Yeah.
And it's making me think, as we're having this conversation about sequencing according to the cycle, how else can we think about sequencing? So for example, if I came in with jet lag, or I came in like I do every day now, because I have 2 young kids and I don't sleep very well, is there some stuff we can play with here when it comes to the sequencing of these therapies?
So we go back to like basics, right? Physiology first, and then what are we trying to achieve? Then outcome. So it's important to understand where you're at. So if you're sleep deprived, you're jet lagged, yes, there is a better way to sequence your recovery to get what you're trying to achieve. Because for you to have a good night's rest, what we're wanting is for you not to leave the space in a sympathetic, high alert, you've got dopamine and norepinephrine sort of like running through your system because you ended with the cold plunge. That's not going to be good for you tonight when you go to bed, right? So yes, there are, depending on what we're trying to achieve. So for example, broadly speaking, right, we've dealt with women, menstrual cycles, appreciate what's happening on the physiological front. Likewise, individuals who are high stress, for example, right? So you're looking at people who are just generally operating in a high cortisol environment all the time. So their sympathetic nervous system is where things are happening, right? So let's group that as one. You've got another group where you've got autoimmune, you've got inflammatory states, got high inflammation. And in an autoimmune conditions, the immune system is not able to respond as it should, right? So there is a way to sequence that. Sequence recovery that is going to make sense for that particular subset of individuals.
And maybe we don't have that much time left, but I think it's really important that we try and tackle this one. Maybe if we can talk about those groupings, right? So we have people who are sleep deprived and jet lagged. I'm assuming those would be lumped together. We have people that typically operate in a really high stress environment. And we have people with autoimmune issues or dealing with high inflammation. And so just really quickly, how do we sequence?
So nervous system on overdrive, here we're talking chronic stress states, high cortisol states. And so the sequence generally would be red light first, infrared sauna, hyperbaric chamber, and I'll put a question mark around cold plunge. And I'm going to put an optional bracket there, and I'll explain in a moment, right? So red light first. Why? Because this is the gentle entry point for you, right? You're coming in a highly stressed state already.
High cortisol.
We want to land the plane. Bring it down. So red light does that for us really nicely because it promotes that parasympathetic shift. And that's really via the nitric oxide signaling that happens as part of the therapy. So we've landed the plane. You're now in a parasympathetic state compared to when you first walked in. We've now primed your system to better receive the infrared sauna. So we're putting you in the infrared sauna. And so this is where we're mimicking that kind of hormetic stressor, right? The safe stress, because we know that after sauna, it kind of leads to this natural calming state, right? Because of all the really good things that happens to the body during that time in the sauna. You've got the vasodilation that's happening at the same time. And so you're prepping the body, again, then to receive the oxygen, right? So oxygen flow in the hyperbaric chamber, that improves your cerebral oxygenation and induces this sort of like mental quietness, right? And that's how we want you to leave the space if you are in nervous system overdrive. Why I put the optional is because here, that brief exposure to cold plunge could do more harm to your system than good, right? Because you've got to appreciate where you're at. And that is a strong sympathetic response. So I would actually say be very cautious there and rather leave it out and err on the side of caution. But you are going to have individuals who are going to be like, well, we can handle that. And if it's earlier in the daytime, then okay.
But yeah, so if you come in a really high stress state at say 2 or 3 p.m. and you still have the rest of your workday to go, but you know you need some recovery, you do the red light to chill out, and you do the infrared to chill out and get better circulation, vasodilation. You do the hyperbaric to get the oxygenation benefits and the mental clarity and to get better sleep later that day. And if you need to amp back up, you could get in the cold plunge then, but not necessary.
Not necessary. And if you do, keep it really short.
Yeah, keep it really
like 30 seconds, 60 seconds max, nothing longer.
Get over the first wall. And
Correct. Yeah. And then you're prepping.
Okay, so for the sleep deprived, maybe jet lag population as well.
So here the goal is to, because your circadian rhythm is fucked, right?
Yep.
Goal is to restore the circadian rhythm, and we want to improve your mitochondrial energy. Mitochondria is like the powerhouse of your cell. Okay, so in this particular sequence, what we want to do is we want to start you off in the hyperbaric chamber. By doing so, what we're doing is we're increasing through the chamber oxygenation, pressurization, mitochondrial ATP production, and that will then also improve your alertness without a stimulus, right?
Without caffeine.
Without caffeine, without a cold plunge, right? So from there, we actually will take you into the red light.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, because the red light therapy bed helps support the circadian rhythm, okay? And it's a signal to your body to kind of like reset the biological timing, okay? Again, this is daytime, right? So you're not going to do any of these services late at night because, again, we're trying to reset the circadian rhythm. That's the goal of what we're trying to achieve. So daytime, we'll start hyperbaric, you go into the red light therapy, and from there, we want you to do the contrast room and do the sauna, infrared sauna, because that, promotes relaxation and prepares you for sleep later in the day. And then I'm going to say, if you are wanting to do cold plunge, it's okay for you to do so, but in the daytime only. And you should really plan that to the morning side of your day because it is a stimulus and it's going to activate that brief sympathetic, drive that you're going to get, and it's going to make you feel alert. So like if you're jet lagged, for example, right, and you want to come in for the morning, do that in the morning so that you can get through the day and you're doing all the right stuff to help support your circadian rhythm and kind of like reset that clock again.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So if you're sleep deprived or you're jet lagged, definitely try and get your recovery sequence in earlier in the day. And the sort of ideal sequence would be to start in the hyperbaric to get the mitochondrial support. So you have the mental capacity and physical capacity to get through the day that is to come.
Yeah, and you've got the added oxygen as well, right? Because we know if you're flying long-haul flights, the oxygen that you're getting while you're flying is not the same, right? So there's that benefit as well.
Yeah. So you'll go from the H-spot into the red light therapy to help the body chill out, get the parasympathetic nervous system in check, but mostly for the circadian support.
Correct.
To help your body get back into the rhythm of this time zone.
Yeah.
And then from there, we would finish on the sauna, the infrared sauna, to get the circulation vasodilation. And if it's early enough of the day and you need to be alert for the rest of the day, do a cold plunge, but don't be too crazy about it. We don't want to send your nervous system into overdrive, but jumping in there real quick can be the amp up that you need to.
And that's really the goal there, is utilizing the cold plunge to kind of like wake you up, right? Early in the morning, I got to get through the rest of this day. I can't overstimulate myself because then I'm going to mess up my sleep tonight, right? So it's about being measured and the timing matters.
Yeah. Okay, cool.